everyone. This is Jordan Bergner with Boys Town Press, and today we have Jeff Tucker, author of Isaac the InstiGator, here to talk with us about his new book.
Thank you, Jordan. I'm happy to be here.
Hey, tell us a little bit about this new one.
Isaac is not part of the Chicorée Elementary series. I decided that I wanted to do something new. The I guess the spark for this idea kind of came during the pandemic. I think we all had a lot of time to just sit in our thoughts, and I tried to take advantage of that time to get a little creative. I've never written a book with animal protagonists before, and I don't know if I would call Isaac a protagonist. He's kind of an anti-hero, but I love him. He holds a special place in my heart. But when I wrote this, I was still working in an elementary school setting before I moved from Louisiana. So Isaac's behaviors in the book are pretty typical of what I witnessed and worked with in, it was a 3rd through 5th grade school, and some of the behaviors that took place. And what we found is that a lot of the conflicts that occurred between our students were puppeted almost. There was a puppeteer, a mastermind behind them, that it usually wasn't the two people who got into conflict that actually orchestrated the event, that there was someone behind the scenes pulling the strings trying to get these people to engage in some kind of conflict. And typically what we found is that these students that were instigating conflict among other students were students who typically didn't have a lot of positive relationships on their own. And what I kind of found, kind of digging through that behavior, is it was almost an attitude of, if I can't have friends and if I can't have positive relationships, it's hurtful to see other people have that. And so in this book, we have the main character of Isaac, and he is an alligator slash instigator. And Isaac he's kind of a loner. He doesn't have many friends, and he's a bit of a trickster once he discovers that he has a bit of a special ability of being able to mimic other animals in the swamp. And I guess the reasoning behind using an alligator and using a swamp as a setting is kind of the Louisiana culture that I come from. It's kind of this setting is very much ingrained in who I am. So when I first started picturing, if I'm going to write about animals, where would I want that to be? What would I want these animals to be? An alligator was the first thing that popped into my mind, and it just serendipitously, alligator instigator worked really well together. So Isaac uses his special ability of mimicking the other animals to stir up trouble, and eventually he tries to stir up trouble between two bears who are not quite so easily fooled. And through the bears, he learns a little lesson about friendship and using his own true voice instead of copying others. And that's kind of the gist of the book. It's something new for me, but I'm really proud of the way that it turned out.
Yeah, it's such a fun story, and like you said, it's something that you see a lot in schools. That's an interesting topic that I don't think we see enough of in books.
It's definitely a topic that I'd never seen written about before in this way. And I definitely want to stress, I don't think Isaac's a bad guy any more than I think these students are bad students. I always stress to my students, and I think I've said this in other interviews, that doing bad things doesn't make us bad people, that sometimes everybody, even the best people, make bad choices sometimes. And it kind of goes back to that old adage that hurt people. And that's kind of where Isaac is at. He's not a bad gator. He's hurting, and he has to find out ways that he can overcome that in kind of a positive and constructive way.
Well, yeah, absolutely, and that's one of the great things about books like yours, where you not only identify the behavior and kind of make sure people know that it's, bad choices don't make you a bad person, or gator, but you also provide like ideas for children to kind of overcome those choices that they're making. Tips that I believe there's tips and tips for parents and educators in the back that kind of deal with this, and I think that's an important part too, is finding the identifying the issue and providing solutions, which I think you do a really great job of in your books.
I wanted, even though it was a tale about animals, I wanted it to be relevant and for children to be able to see themselves in Isaac or in the other characters in a fun way. And because I like my books to be applicable to students' real lives and to parents and educators and what they experience. That's why I do include tips for parents and educators in the back of the book. And there are also sets of activities, one set for lower grade levels and one set for I say upper grade levels, so K through second and then 3 to 5, with the activities being targeted kind of toward the developmental stages of those age ranges that I really think can help kind of solidify these concepts, because I'm big into experiential learning. I think we learn by doing, and that's why as much as reading the book I think can be really powerful. I think taking some time to reflect on some of the concepts in it really helps kind of ingrain the takeaways a little bit better.